Hi Sebastian, welcome to Level Up with Love,
It's my pleasure, love,
the man behind the brand.
behind the camera. Nobody knows actually, nobody cares also.
What's the time you realized you wanted to pick up the camera?
Pick up the camera was not the first idea. First idea was to do arts.
So you just bought the camera and you started doing fashion photo.
मेरे को लगता है अंधा भी अच्छा फोटो लेता है वहाँ पे.
How does your dad react today? Because he never supported you with this idea.
When he went to somebody's house, they were talking about me कि आपका बेटा क्या करता है? उसका नाम क्या है? Sebastian. बोलता है, you're Sebastian's father? तो मैं dad first time read कि मेरा नाम छपा हुआ है as credits. That day he came home with 3 magazines. जाके खरीद लिया उन्होंने. उसके बाद से he felt good about what I was doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Level Up with Love, brought to you by Capturing Wow. In this show, we uncover the brilliant minds behind the lens and the stories that shape the world of photography and filmmaking. This is your host, Luv Israni. Today, we have the privilege of having a man with us whose lens has shaped the way we perceive architecture, interior, and hospitality through the art of photography. With a career that spans over decades, he has not only captured the essence of spaces, but has also created his own unique space within the industry. As the founder and creative director of Photographics India, he is leading a creative venture that redefines artistic boundaries and touched hearts with his visual storytelling. His role extends even further as he serves as the president of the Society of Architecture and Interior Photography, an organization dedicated to elevating the photography and filmmaking community of India. We are here to discover his stories behind the frames, the wisdom that lies within the light, and the inspiration that flows through the shutter. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelt for a conversation with none other than Sebastian Zachariah, all the way with you guys in my studio today. Harpreet, what gets you to wake up every day from your bed?
My joint pain.
He's really gone through such hassles every day.
Oh my god, I had tears in my eyes. First paycheck I got was 40,000 at the age of 14 and a half.
साला शादी वाला फोटोग्राफर लग रहा हूँ मैं तुम्हें. I said यार I want to become a director. साला मेरा कोई पैसा तो नहीं काटेगा.
How does one become a photographer if he's using compositing?
How many times did love come in it?
Oh, love is the way of our life, man.
Listen, when did you pick up your camera for the first time?
At the age of 11.
An accident.
Can you imagine shooting Amitabh Bachchan for the first time and you get fired by him?
Oh my god, I think
Just make this content viral.
It's a very tricky situation.
That journey began, I would say, magically.
So I said 12 दिन के अगर जो 8,000 रुपया मिल रहा है तो ठीक है. And he was like, no, I'm paying you per day 8,000 rupees. You have to innovate and shock yourselves every 3 years.
that's a cheers moment. Hi Sebastian, welcome to Level Up with Love. So happy to have you again at Capturing Wow.
It's my pleasure, love, to do this with love. So,
How many times did love come in it?
love is the way of our life, man. So, tell me, love, I need to ask you one thing. What brought you to this idea?
So I think this is all through lockdown. I remember I used to do these Instagram live sessions, and I think it was a great medium of connecting with people and getting to know people's journey. And I think ever since the last 2 years, COVID is gone. We are back in our mundane. We are back to doing business, and I think the essence of connecting with people is again lost. So it's been something that I've been wanting to start my podcast series for the last 2 years.
I think
And
it's a
finally we
brilliant
are
idea.
here.
Brilliant idea. I must
you.
tell you that. Yeah.
So I think that's how this whole idea of Level Up with Love started. And we said now is the time that getting this personal conversation is more important. People know you for your work, but I thought we need our audience to know the man behind the brand PHX better. So,
Behind the camera.
behind
Nobody
the
knows
brand.
actually. Nobody cares also. Except your clients. Nobody really cares about who's behind the camera. Uska kya scenario hai, kya story hai. But your work is what? I mean, being a photographer is a choice, right? Otherwise, you would be an actor. If you want to be in front of the camera, you choose to be behind the camera. And I think that's it. Our life is like that.
Right. So I think let's start off with knowing Sebastian. When was the time you realized you wanted to pick up the camera?
So my pick up the camera was not the first idea. The first idea was to do arts. Fine arts was where I was more inclined to. I would say more in terms of sketches and drawing, which was the first inspiration. I come from a very middle class background, so camera was like an expensive toy, and we are talking about the 70s and the 80s. You see, just owning a camera it doesn't make sense. So pencil, pen, paper was easily possible. But being from the background that I was, my father was working in the government service, getting a job was priority for them. So there was no entertaining the idea of being a professional or being an independent, just find a job. So his dream for me was to become the collector of Bombay. And I didn't understand what a collector does. So, and I think my temperament was not for a job. It was not built like that. So it was always a conflict. And when I reached college and I had a voice, I started telling him that I want to do arts. And he would compare me with the hoarding painters. That time, there were hoarding painters there. So he would compare me with them. And for that time, wedding photography was not a big deal. He's one guy standing and saying, smile, click, click, click. So he compared me with all that. And then for him, it didn't make sense. So he tried to put me into the JJ College of Architecture. So I went through much of it. But because he was refusing everything I was saying, I told him मैं कॉलेज जा ही रहा हूँ ना, तो उसी कॉलेज में कैंपस में जाऊँगा, मैं आर्ट्स करूँगा. बट नो, नहीं, आर्ट्स नहीं कर सकता है. तुम आर्किटेक्चर करना है तो करो. दैट वाज द लास्ट ऑप्शन. तो रिबेल के इसमें मैंने वो इंटरव्यू दिया नहीं. सो आई केम आउट एंड आई स्टार्टेड डूइंग माई BSc, whatever. It's only after I got married where I independently thought that, I like photography. And I need to do that. I need to do something about it. But before that, just before that, I was with a magazine called La Mode, which I was a producer. So I was with the publishing. So I used to hire photographers. Atul Kazbekar, you name the guys. Farooq Chotia, everybody. We used to hire them and get shoots done. Tarun Kewal, starting off. All those people, even Bharat Sikka, Delhi. So I was behind the whole scene, watching the scene unfold, and I used to enjoy that. I used to think that, hey, great, fashion photography is amazing. And it was all fashion that time. But yes, again, no camera money and all that. So enjoyed doing that for some time. Then I quit, decided to do graphics. Again, not happy. So every 3 years I changed my profession. Till I got married, I told my wife, listen, अभी तो मुझे मेरा करने दो. So पहला savings डाल के मैंने camera खरीदा. And that time, I started with fashion, but I didn't like it at all. That day I didn't.
So you bought the camera and you started doing fashion photography.
So I started with fashion. I did 1 or 2 assignments and I didn't like it at all. Then I realized I have to think कि क्या मुझे पसंद है.
अब तो कैमरा में खर्चा भी कर दिया.
हाँ, अभी तो कैमरा भी ले लिया. My first shoot that came my way was a resort, which was Soneva Fushi and Soneva Gilly in Maldives. So my wife is a writer. She was writing the story. So she said, you don't have to pay extra for this guy. He will come with me anyways, but he will shoot. And I said, yeah, I will shoot. That was my first shoot. A 7-star property in Maldives. मेरे को लगता है अंधा भी अच्छा फोटो लेता है वहाँ पे. बट मेरे लिए सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट ये था कि मैं ऑल ऑफ अ सडन एक नया सब्जेक्ट के साथ था एंड आई एंजॉयड इट. I was studying light and I was studying where the shadows are falling and I would say when this building looks good. So मुझे 3 दिन दिया था एक प्रॉपर्टी शूट करने, 3 दिन दूसरा प्रॉपर्टी शूट करने. So मैं 3 दिन से 2 दिन तो सिर्फ घूम रहा था. एक छोटा नोटबुक था, एक बाइसाइकिल था and I was roaming around that whole island and making notes. On the third day, from morning 6:30 till evening 8:30, I had not a second to spare. Because मेरा हर एक shot was lined up.
किधर जाना है?
Yes, मेरा shots were lined up and I was like a madman running around the resort. तो किसी लोग बोट के लिए वेट कर रहा है इसके लिए, मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है तो मैं खुद के आगे निकल जा रहा था. And all those things happened and I came up with a bunch of pictures that got published. Soneva also liked it. And that's when I thought कि like I really enjoy this part. इधर ना मुझे मॉडल प्लीजिंग करना है, ना मेकअप मैन का टेम्परामेंट सीखना है, ना किसी से कुछ बात करना है. बस अपना चेयर रख दिया, वो चेयर वहीं पड़ा रहेगा, दिन भर पड़ा रहेगा, ना शिकायत, ना भूख लग रही है, ना कुछ हो रहा है। ये मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है. And that was the first step. And the second major thing that forced me into the profession was, in fashion, I was always running after money. कि मैं मेरा पैसा दे दो, बोलेगा दे दूंगा, अगले हफ्ते मेरा कंसाइनमेंट जा रहा है, ये वो. आर्किटेक्ट बंदा, शूट खत्म हो गया, वो चला गया था, वो मुड़ के वापस आया, बोला यार तुम्हारा पेमेंट कैसे करना था मुझे. बोला नहीं बाद में दे दो, फोटो देने के बाद. नहीं लेट मी फिनिश दिस. बोला यार ये लोग अच्छे हैं. मुझे इन्हीं के साथ काम कर रहा है.
I have been doing fashion for last 17 years and you're telling me this today.
हाँ.
I wish I realized this.
Yeah.
I wish this conversation happened 17 years back.
They will give you a air kiss, they will पप्पी चप्पी, they will say चाय कॉफी पी लो, ठंडा पानी कर लो, बट पैसा नहीं आ रहा था यार. So I decided like मुझे यही प्रोफेशन और ये ग्रुप के साथ रहना है. And I enjoyed the graphical quality of that thing. So I think that's when I really decided कि अब फोटोग्राफी करना है. And शुरू, उसके बाद आज तक मुड़ के देखा नहीं.
So I think when people say that there's always a woman behind a man's success, so I think your wife truly signifies that statement.
I will give it to my wife. This is our 25th year of marriage. I told her, you have to give me 3 months. 3 months, you take care of everything. Don't ask me for anything. Then, after 3 months, there'll be 2 things. I will find another job because I was quite sure about my skill set. मैं कर लेगा काम, किधर भी कर लेगा. I will find a job. Alternately, you have the right to leave your job. So it will be this way or that way. So give me 3 months. And she gave 3 months. Today, she's a happy soul with a French bulldog. But it's a good journey. Man, if she hadn't stood by at that time, I don't think I would have taken this plunge also. So there is a woman. Yeah. We have to give it.
The whole credit goes to her.
Absolutely.
But while in the early days talking about your dad not being, how does a dad react today? Because he never supported you with this idea.
So for a long time, he did not understand what I was doing. अब बिल्डिंग का फोटो क्यों कर ले रहा है? कौन देखता है ये सब? So it was only when he went to, I would say almost 8-9 years into the profession, when he went to somebody's house and that person's son or daughter was an architect. So they were talking about me कि आपका बेटा क्या करता है? तो बोलते हैं अरे फोटोग्राफर है. Then he मुझे नाम क्या है? Sebastian. That kid एकदम वो कब बोलता है You're Sebastian's father? ऐसा? तो उसको लगा कि क्या किया मेरा बेटे ने. ये रिएक्शन आ रहा है यहाँ पे. तो उन्होंने किताब निकाल के लेके आया, इनसाइड आउटसाइड मैगजीन लेके आया. बोलते थे कोई इनका फोटोज है, हमारा फर्म भी इनसे काम करने का सोच रहे हैं. तो तब मैं डैड फर्स्ट टाइम रेड कि मेरा नाम छपा हुआ है एज क्रेडिट्स. दैट डे ही केम होम विद 3 मैगजीन्स, जाके खरीद लिया उन्होंने. उसके बाद से ही फेल्ट गुड अबाउट व्हाट आई वाज डूइंग. टिल देन ही वाज वंडरिंग जिएगा कैसे ये आदमी. So he had told me also, शादी हो गया, now it's your problem. I'm not looking after it. But I think that one instance where his friends knew about me more than he knows about me was...
I think it's a very proud moment for any
it
parents.
Was proud.
I think.
It was touching also that he bought 3 magazines and came home and told me, you didn't tell me. I said, all along, इधर 100 magazine पड़े हुए हैं, आप खोल के देखते नहीं अभी क्या बोले.
No, but he going and paying the money for the magazine.
Exactly, that was
is
touching.
A different high.
That was a touching thing. Like he did that. He could have told me कि अरे ऐसा है तू कॉपी क्यों लेके आता. But वो खुद खरीदा, लोगों में बांटने लगा. But they were not my clients. All his friend circle was not my clients. One of them is an architect, but not all. So that didn't matter. But at the same time, it was your father, no? And he did not know. See, it's the mahol where you grow up. So if your father was a photographer, you becoming a photographer is a straightforward line.
Right.
For everybody else, it is a first major decision. Photography is not here currently known as a joint profession. जाके हम team join करते हैं, office join करते हैं, photographer.
Family business हो जैसे बोलते ना.
हाँ.
Generation out of generation, you will say
so
कि भाई.
You have to, if a new person is entering the line, it's almost like a film guy struggling to get into a film industry. तो किधर ना किधर तो support ढूंढता है वो. नहीं तो गलतियां करेंगे और क्या. और आज भी इंडस्ट्री में वही चल रहा है. So there is no firm or agency or anything that takes in people and tells them कि you can work here I'll give you a fixed growth plan. I will ensure that your career is here, but you do what you can do. वैसा आज भी नहीं है यार.
So let's try to understand while you said this was 8 years down the line when your dad really valued the fact that you're a recognized photographer.
Proud of me.
Exactly. That was
मेरा
a proud
बेटा कुछ
moment.
बन गया है. हाँ.
But which was that first, your first assignment by itself was very inspiring. But the real success where people start recognizing your work in the early days, which was the assignment?
So at that time, just around that time, I started shooting architecture, because once people know that you're shooting architecture, they call you for architectural assignments. And I was very clear that although my knowledge and experience was in fashion, I was not happy with that. I mean, I was not really enjoying that. So एक के बाद एक assignments आने लगे, like China Gate, restaurant, then उसी time पे Intercontinental चालू हुआ था, and they wanted a photographer, and for whatever reason Soneva Fushi and Soneva Gilly were big names. We landed up at Intercontinental, and I was doing the shoot, and I had no lights, I had no experience in hotel shoot, by the way. सच यही है कि मैंने पहला तो भागदौड़ करके कर लिया था, अभी इंटरकॉन्टिनेंटल के अंदर पूरा लो लाइट कंडीशंस, क्या करना है इधर. एंड एक और सीक्रेट था मेरा कि आई हैड अ E5000 Cool Pics Nikon ka, the first 5 megapixel camera Nikon had launched. Okay. I wanted to go digital. That was the turn of digital. तो जब मैं डिजिटल कैमरा पूछ रहा था तो एक ही था, दूसरा सब वो बैग खरीदना पड़ता था. You had to get that. I couldn't afford all that. And the other film cameras, I used to keep it because everybody used to insist. But I would shoot mostly on this one. And it was this 28mm fixed lens. So I couldn't do wide shots also. Unless and until I have space, I couldn't cover the range. But I used that to my advantage because my compositions became tighter. Majburi tha. I had to take tighter compositions. And they always look pretty. Tighter compositions always look nicer. So the entire hotel, Intercontinental, I shot with that.
With the 5 megapixel.
With
cool
the 5
pics.
megapixel Cool Pics.
Wow.
And I did not have light, so I had to play with what is available light. तब ना Photoshop का knowledge. So you can imagine the struggle that I was going through mentally. But I would look at the picture because it was appearing immediately on the screen. I could take a judgment call कि नहीं, I need to go further, I need to go below, I need to go above. जो भी adjustments were done immediately. And so I did a set of pictures for them. I kept it as dark as it is. Light नहीं है तो light नहीं है भाई. जिधर light गिर रहा है वो दिख रहा है. They loved the pictures. And I was like surprised. अच्छा. मुझे लगा कि ये पहला बोलेगा नहीं मैं होटल के पिक्चर्स देखो कैसा दिखता है और तुम कैसा फोटो ले रहे हो. I thought that would be the feedback, but I think these people
you had a self doubt.
I had a self doubt about my client. I liked the pictures because if I walk into the hotel and I look at the lobby has a light coming from one direction. This side is dark, and it is dark. It is kept like that.
You're talking Mumbai Intercontinental.
Right. Marine driveway. So वही picture लेके then मैं तो बिंदास. I made prints and I gave it to them. They were very thrilled with it, and it got into some editorial story somewhere. That day I realized कि like दुनिया कुछ भी करे, you have to use what you have. And my skill set was creating a nice composition, which was tight but effective. It was telling what they need to tell, not show the entire thing, which only a wide angle guy could do, I couldn't do. So I decided to tell my story in bits and pieces. And that hit off.
Okay.
Because उसके बाद जो भी project मैंने shoot किया था, immediately I had a picture for the cover. You couldn't deny that. There was a nice tight shot which would go for the cover. तो मेरा project का pictures cover पे जा रहे थे. The cycle then continued. Till I landed upon one day Taj Hotels ka.
So the need of wide or going up more wider and showing the expanse, that did not come from the clients.
See, in the 80s and 90s, the whole set of photographers who were in India, if they shoot interiors, they would close the curtains, switch on all the lights, and then they would shoot pictures. And they would stand in one corner there, they would stand in one corner there and take the picture. That was showing the space and showing everything. There was, I would say, hardly any focus on aesthetics or compositional values. वो सब नहीं था.
Okay.
उसमें से कोई वर्टिकल शॉट मिला तो वो कवर पे चढ़ गया. तो मैंने पिक्चर स्टडी कर रहे थे ना उस टाइम पे, क्या मैगजीन में आ रहा है, क्या हो रहा है, क्या नहीं हो रहा है। और मैं इंटरनेशनल मैगजीन देखा तो यार उसमें तो कोई लाइट ऑन करके ऐसा है ही नहीं सीन, सब खिड़की खुला है। बट यहाँ पे हमारा क्लाइंट्स को तो बॉस तू कैसा फोटो ले रहा है, लाइट्स ऑन नहीं किया है। तो इट्स लाइक अ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, यू नो। हमारा होल आर्किटेक्चरल इंटीरियर फोटोग्राफी, दैट होल line was still not marked. No, nobody was marking it. Everybody is doing what was needed by the marketplace.
Correct.
So all of a sudden मैंने खिड़की खोल के लाइट ऑन रखने चालू किया, and the pictures turned out a little better, and it became an important point of view that ये अलग से फोटो लेता है. Secondly, I was studying architectural work. When they do their drawings, they have elevational drawings. They always visualize their space in elevation. Elevation is एकदम dead front, almost perpendicular to the thing. So they see the bed as like one block and then bottom block and then the legs. I decided to shoot like that only. Angle नहीं देना है. So architect suddenly realized कि अरे ये तो हमने जैसा सोचा था वैसे ही फोटो है. That was another thing. But that I tell you ना कि you have to learn. काबिल बनो. And all the magazines that I spent money on buying and just going through magazines like Detail, Wallpaper, all international publications, interior design करके, it was so expensive. उसमें 200 रुपया कुछ था interior design magazine का, 150-200 रुपया. It was a big deal. I used to just sit and flip, and any place I get a magazine, I would sit and flip through the pictures. So I think that was a self-learning thing. And I had friends in the industry, I had people whom I knew. किसी को फोन करेगा, कुछ पूछेगा तो एक का जवाब देगा, बाकी बोलते बात में बात करते हैं. तो you know that thing was also going on. I said I have to learn on my own, learn Photoshop on my own, learned everything on my own. और उस टाइम पे डिजिटल है तो you're in trouble, because not only do you have to shoot, you have to go and bloody process the images. ऐसा नहीं बोल सकता कि अरे दे दिया मैंने, कल सुबह 9 बजे आ जाएगा. नहीं बोल सकता है. You have to sit and do it. And there were so many challenges. I mean, एक आर्किटेक्ट ने मुझसे पूछा कि how can you shoot digital? The quality is so bad. अभी एंड उसके पहले मैं ग्राफिक डिजाइनर था, तो मुझे मालूम है कि क्या हो रहा है इधर. ट्रांसपेरेंसी को मैं स्कैन करके डिजिटल बना के फिर प्रिंट में यूज कर रहा हूँ.
करेक्ट.
और इधर मेरे को डायरेक्टली डिजिटल मिल रहा है. इसका जेपेग इसका टिप से अच्छा है. सो आई वॉज क्लियर कि मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, बट उसको टेक्निकली नहीं समझ में आ रहा था. मुझे तो सिर्फ ट्रांसपेरेंसी शूट करना है. बोला डन, कर लेंगे. तो मैंने शूट किया सिर्फ डिजिटल. ट्रांसपेरेंसी भी शूट किया, लेकिन वो साइड में रख दिया, रोल डेवलप भी नहीं किया. तो मैंने वो डिजिटल प्रिंट्स लेके गया उनके पास, बोला सर जी ये रहा फोटोज. वो मेरे को देख के बोलता है, मैं बोला ना आपको नेगेटिव और ट्रांसपेरेंसी में ही क्वालिटी है. मैंने उसको 4 रोल शूट किए थे, 4 रोल दे दिए. बोले सर ये आप डेवलप करना, ये डिजिटल का है. दैट डे आई वाज कॉन्फिडेंट अबाउट व्हाट आई वाज डूइंग. आई वाज ऑन द राइट पाथ. मुझे क्लैरिटी मिल गया, एंड उसके बाद तो छोड़ा ही नहीं मैंने.
So, Sebastian, but with all these kind of experiences you had, how did it become you being an individual to a company? How did that transformation happen?
I think if people ask me what have I achieved, I would say I have achieved the wisdom to form a company, to form an agency. So from Sebastian Zachariah Photography, it became Photographics. I wanted a name which was more inclusive. So whatever was the thought process at that time, I said नहीं यार, मेरा नाम से नहीं चलाना है मुझे. I want to get inclusive. Second, around that time I saw this one company called Jayanti Lal Shah Enterprises. तो उसमें एक बंदा काम कर रहा था, and बॉस उसका जो ओनर था, he was dying. तो उसने बोला कि बेटा कंपनी तू रख, you know pay me some money and keep the company and run the company. That guy asked him, मैं जयंतीलाल शाह के नाम से क्यों चलाऊं? Okay. Now that guy and I had a conversation. I said बरोबर है, तू तेरा नाम डाल के चलाएगा ना. But then brand value was for जयंतीलाल शाह. तो he was under a dilemma.
Correct.
मैं मुकुल जयंतीलाल शाह के अंडर में क्यों कंपनी चला रहा हूँ अपना पैसा डाल के. So he started his own. So I said, if I ever have a situation like that, how does it go forward? Will they be happy to run a name called Sebastian Zachariah, or will they be happy to run another generic name? That's where photographics came into play. And once photographics came into play, the next thing was always going to be, let us include people. I can do X number of assignments in a month, मैं थक जाता हूँ. But there are so many calls that we are saying नहीं कर सकते हैं. there is always a kid over there who is not marketing savvy, who is not a great negotiator, who cannot kind of pull an assignment to himself without, losing some money. Why don't I negotiate for him and let him do a good job? But in return, I need the company to become the core point. He will not have his name on top of the company. He will have his name below the company. I think that's where it all started. And today we are 20 members strong.
But usually everybody in our industry, in photography, everybody is more a self-made person where everybody wants to run their own self. I think it's very easy to go up there on Instagram, open a page, say I'm a photographer.
Yeah.
So, what is the investment? The minute you have a camera, just open Instagram page and you're out there as a freelancer.
There is one more step before that. The moment you have the money to buy a camera, you design a visiting card, say so-and-so photographer.
Correct.
वो पहला, that is the first step. उसके बाद कैमरा खरीदना है, उसके बाद बोलता है कि किसी ना किसी से तो काम आ जाएगा, चल हो जाएगा. एक मैंने नोटिस किया पूरा फोटोग्राफी इंडस्ट्री में, जो फोटोग्राफर है वो बंदा थोड़ा इनसिक्योर रहता है, बिकॉज उसको मालूम है कि आज असाइनमेंट के लिए 3 लोग लड़ रहे हैं, तो व्हाई इज ही गेटिंग द असाइनमेंट? मैं आई एम बेटर स्किल्ड देन हिम, आई एम बेटर एक्सपीरियंस देन हिम. What is the reason? So skill we also know anybody can get.
Right.
So the one factor that remains like an X factor that remains special to a photographer because of which he is more relevant than the others is probably his relationship with the client. Now he is maintaining that with some effort and कुछ ना कुछ तो चल ही रहा है. अब कोई बच्चा सीख लेगा वो, तो क्लाइंट तो चला जाएगा. Because this kid doesn't have the बोझ of 20 years. वो तो बोल देगा कि भाई मेरा रेट इतने में कर दो, मैं कर देने को तैयार है. एंड ही नोस, ही इज अंडरस्टूड हाउ द डील विद दिस क्लाइंट. काम लेके चला जाएगा. सो इट्स अ कैनिबलिस्टिक इंडस्ट्री. आप कल किसी को पालोगे, टुमारो मॉर्निंग ही इज गोइंग टू ईट फ्रॉम योर प्लेट ऑल्सो फर्स्ट, बिकॉज दैट्स व्हाट ही नोस. सो यू हैव हाउ मेनी टाइम्स विल यू टेक दैट चांस? एक बार कर लिया, असिस्टेंट जाके फोटोग्राफर बन गया, यार अभी असिस्टेंट नया ढूंढो. तो ये जो थॉट प्रोसेस है ना, ये बदलना मुश्किल है. आई डोंट सी इट चेंजिंग ऑल्सो. नीदर इज इट दैट वी हैव लाइक अ जनरेशन ऑफ यंग फोटोग्राफर्स हु आर कमिंग इन विद एथिकल प्रैक्टिसेस, जो एथिक्स का बात कर रहे हैं.
So how do you try to maintain today when you said you are 1 + 19? How do you maintain this team?
You maintain it by giving them equal rights. At some point or the other, अभी मैं बोलता हूँ ना, there are enough photographers who have assistants who are doing a decently good job of taking the shots and everything, but the main photographer will never mention his name while giving credits. Never. So हमारा इसमें देखो, plus so and so, this and this, and I'm the one who has to start it first. So मैं तैयार है, ले क्रेडिट देगा ना, क्रेडिट ले, उनका नाम लिख देता है. उससे ज्यादा क्या मैं कर सकता हूँ कि तूने काम किया था मेरे साथ, तेरा नाम लिखता हूँ मैं. बट उसके बाद फॉर हिम टू गेट हिज ओन नेम अलोन देयर, ही हैज टू बी काबिल इनफ टू डू दैट शूट अगेन. तो इनसिक्योरिटी नहीं है मेरे पास. आई थिंक इट ऑल्सो कम्स फ्रॉम द फैक्ट दैट बिकॉज आई हैव सो मेनी पीपल अराउंड मी, दे रैली अराउंड मी, आई हैव नो इनसिक्योरिटी. सेकेंडली, एक मोटो है, जो आपका है वो आपका है, किसी और का आप ले नहीं सकते, और ना ही कोई दूसरा आपका लेगा. तो अगर मेरा है तो मुझे किस चीज का डर है? और ये चीज मैंने अभी फर्म के हिसाब से भी बता रहा हूं आपको. एवरी फोटोग्राफर हैज अ डिफरेंट प्राइस स्ट्रक्चर, राइट? सो आई मे बी द हाईएस्ट प्राइस्ड इन माय टीम बिकॉज आई एम द ओल्डेस्ट, आई एम द मोस्ट एक्सपीरियंस्ड फोटोग्राफर देयर. सो व्हेन अ क्लाइंट कॉल्स अस फॉर एन असाइनमेंट एंड इज नॉट श्योर किसके साथ काम करना है, सबका रेट जाता है.
Okay.
सबका. So there is a difference of more than 50%, sometimes 60% sometimes, between the lowest price and the lowest price guy also has an Instagram page which shows how good he is. But if they still choose to work with me, the only thing that differentiates between all this is reputation. So I have built a reputation. So मैं इनको बोलता हूँ, reputation बनाओ, पैसा is not the problem. So and then there are some clients who are only looking at money. Reputation का कोई, और वहां पे आप अकेले रहो या टीम के साथ रहो, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. वो तो सस्ता वाला ढूंढ रहा है.
They don't matter who's behind the camera.
वो सब्जी मंडी में घूम रहा है.
But tell me a little more about, we understood the team part, but what's the approach? I mean, I remember we had this conversation long back, you, me and Jaideep. Today, Jaideep Oberoi comes with a very different strategy and approach.
Yeah.
So as a brand, what is your approach? How do you approach a project? Azim, I pick up the call and I tell you, if you can take us through the life cycle of a client.
Life cycle. See, there are two types of projects, based primarily editorial and commercial. In the design business, it's mostly editorial. The architect cannot advertise. So the architect can only use the pictures for his publicity online or for magazines and all that. Right. So, and he also wants to show pictures to the clients. तो actually बंदा अपना फीस में से पैसा निकाल रहा है, उसका ऐसा बिजनेस मॉडल नहीं है. एक रियल एस्टेट वाला हमसे एक शो फ्लैट शूट कराता है, वो 50 फ्लोर्स इनटू 3 फ्लैट्स ईच, बॉम्बे में कितना हो गया, वो उतना बेचता है, वो कमा लेगा. उसको ये शो फ्लैट का शूट इज नॉट अ मीनिंगफुल कॉस्ट एट ऑल. बट एन आर्किटेक्ट के लिए वो बहुत अलग होता है. सो वी हैव टू वर्क अंडरस्टैंडिंग देयर थिंग. सो फॉर अस इट इज अबाउट not having the luxury of time, point number one, that we cannot say कि हम 3 दिन लगा लेगा ये shoot करने के लिए, नहीं होता है. They need it in a tighter budget. So budget is very important. So unless and until you plan, तुम्हारा वो shoot नहीं होगा budget के अंदर, you will not be able to deliver. The other thing is styling is a very important part of what we do. For any young architectural photographer, architecture में interior photography, both are very different. सब लोग एक जैसा यूज करते हैं architecture, interior. But interior is totally different skill set, architecture is totally different skill set. तो जो इंटीरियर फोटोग्राफी करता है उसको स्टाइलिंग समझना बहुत जरूरी है. उसका अपना एस्थेटिक्स होना चाहिए. अब एक सिंपल सा एग्जांपल है, आपने लेटेस्ट इटली में मिलान का फेयर में क्या क्या ऑब्जेक्ट्स आए थे वो नहीं मालूम है आपको. हाउ विल यू टेक अ पिक्चर दैट इज फ्यूचर रेडी? यू डोंट इवन नो. You suddenly don't know who's the designer of this chair, and you're putting this chair in a photograph which is clicked in 2023, and the architect is saying avant-garde design. दोनों पिटेगा क्योंकि ये चेयर बहुत पुराना है. तो to know what to bring in, what to leave out, there are certain stores that sell you the same thing. 8 साल से मैंने वो आदमी का पुतला देखा है, वो 8 साल से अभी भी चल रहा है, अभी भी लाके रखता है. मैं बोलता है सब कुछ नया है, ये एक पुराना चीज़ है, इसको हटाओ. उसके लिए एक बेसिक नॉलेज और अंडरस्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए. और वो कहाँ से आता है? यू कीप इन टच,
being abreast with what's happening in the world.
You have to have conversations, you have to listen, you have to watch, you have to ask questions and you have to learn. So the first thing that happens after the query comes in is we try to understand whether it's editorial or commercial. Second thing is we want to know the site, कि क्या है इसका conditions. So we get that फुल साइट का मैप, प्लान बोलता है उसको, लेआउट प्लान्स आते हैं. देन इफ यू कैन गेट सम पिक्चर्स, वी गेट द लाइट कंडीशंस. क्या लाइट कंडीशंस है उधर? इज इट वर्थ गोइंग डे लाइट, और डे लाइट इज गोइंग टू अफेक्ट द प्रोजेक्ट बैडली और गुड नाइसली, वॉट एवर इट इज. सो दोज थिंग्स, देन वी लिटरली नो द लेआउट देख के हमको मालूम पड़ता है कि इसमें ये शॉट्स पॉसिबल है. सो वी हैव अ रफ काउंट ऑफ द नंबर ऑफ पिक्चर्स दैट आर पॉसिबल टू टेक. सो इफ इट इज अ विला, we decide कि 1 दिन में होगा या 2 दिन लगेगा. इसको 2 दिन लगेगा तो 2 दिन लगेगा. We then estimate to the client and say this is it. वो बोलते हैं नहीं एक ही दिन में खत्म करो. Then he has to remove some areas that are not priority for him because we will work for a certain number of hours. मजदूर नहीं है, ये बोलना पड़ता है, तो वो कर लेता है. Then the estimate goes. Then internally we create what is called as a shoot plan. कि सुबह कहाँ शुरू करना है, शाम को कहाँ खत्म करना है. It's all depend on the sun path. Where is the sun coming in the morning? Where is the sun going in the evening? So all those things are then marked out, and then a shoot plan is created. The first we'll shoot this room, then we'll shoot this, then we'll do this, then we'll do this, and come back to this. And so वो पूरा बनने के बाद बस. So the styling team अगर है involved है तो they know where to start. Otherwise the client is told कि ये room आप तैयार रखो, हम लोग उधर घुसते हैं फिर. So एक बार फ्रेम सेट हो गया, उसके बाद एक एक करके शॉट्स खत्म करते हैं. ओके, टाटा, बाय बाय.
So usually, average, how many shots do you guys do in a day? I mean, as a rough estimation.
You have 8 hours. Okay, so in 8 hours, if I take 2 pictures per hour, I have 30 minutes to set up and do everything. यानी अगर क्लाइंट रेडी नहीं है तो मुझे 15 मिनट तो लगता है सेटअप वेटअप करने में. यानी ये लेके आओ, वो निकालो, कान साफ करो, फैन चालू करो, कर्टन टिक करो, ये लाइट ऑफ करो, ये लाइट ऑन करो, मतलब जो भी है वो सब करते करते हमको एटलीस्ट 10 to 15 मिनट्स होता है. तो 1 घंटे में यू कैन डू मैक्सिमम ऑफ से 5 to 6 शॉट्स. 60 मिनट्स ही है ना मेरे पास, so 60 मिनट 10 मिनट में एक एक शॉट के पीछे लगा दिया तो भी, तो 10 मिनट जब मैं लगाता हूँ तो देयर इज नो टाइम टू ब्रीथ. आप ले रहे हो, आप एक्सपोजर्स ले रहे हो, फ्रेमिंग कर रहे हो, वापस एक्सपोजर ले रहे हो, तो ऐसा कर करके आप निकल रहे हो बाहर.
So one space you might probably, if you were shooting this room, I mean, if it's a two rooms, so I mean, I'm guessing how many shots would you do in one place?
See, it all depends on what the elements are. Is there any point in shooting this way? No. So only possibility is shooting this.
Correct.
At best, you can use the arch.
Correct.
So there are 2 shots here. Now I can add a third one by taking a much tighter composition
A detailed shot.
Detailed shot. So bas utna hi hai. So there will be 3 shots here. So if I'm taking 5 minutes each or 10 minutes each, तो मेरा आधा घंटा
so in half an hour you cover one space with 3 shots.
Yeah. Then the next room. अभी अगर चेयर्स नहीं है, चेयर्स लेके आना है, कारपेट लेके आना है, कारपेट ठीक नहीं है, कारपेट साफ करो, फैन ठीक करो, ये सब रोल करो, कर्टन्स करो, you will spend more time.
You might take the same thing, you might take 1 hour too.
So if you have a stylist, you have the stylist who does this beforehand. So the person goes one day before, does one room पूरा setup. तो मैं आता है, I will do it 5 minutes each. I will finish this room in exactly 10 to 15 minutes. So do the clients get more shots by doing that? Yes.
So, but how important is it for a photographer to be a stylist? I mean, today a lot of photographers also put their hands into styling. But is it very important for them to do that?
The word stylist came into our dictionary say 10 years ago.
Right.
उसके पहले stylist नाम से कोई बुलाता नहीं था. था ही नहीं कोई. आप जाओ, आप शूट करके आओ. अब आप शूट करके आओ तो कौन है? जयदीप की शूट में कौन है स्टाइलिस्ट? जयदीप ही है. देन जयदीप स्टार्टेड गेटिंग अ स्टाइलिस्ट. बोलते हैं बस इसको स्टाइलिस्ट बोलते हैं, इसको बुलाओ. क्योंकि मैं अभी जाके बास्केट सोर्स करो, प्लेट सोर्स करो, ये सब नहीं कर सकता. मैं फोटोग्राफर हूँ. आई विल बी विथ माई कैमरा. बाद में बेड टक इन करो, ठीक से करो. सो एवरी फोटोग्राफर हु डज इंटीरियर वर्क इज अ फैंटास्टिक हाउसकीपर. फैंटास्टिक. उससे अच्छा हाउसकीपिंग नहीं करता कोई. पर वो खुद का घर पे जाकर नहीं कर पाएगा, बट किसी और के घर पे जाके. मैं बोलता हूँ ना, आप फोटोग्राफर बनना चाहते हो तो पहला बिस्तर चलाना सीखो. एवरी न्यू किड इज फर्स्ट मेड टू सेट बेड्स एंड ऑल दैट. वो बोलते हैं ये क्या है? बोलते हैं यही है फोटोग्राफी. तुमको लगा क्या बड़ा? कुछ नहीं है, यही है. देयर आर नो गर्ल्स इन आवर शूट एंड यू हैव टू टक बेड्स. यू इंटरेस्टेड जॉइन अस. So वो टक इन करता है, ठीक से बेड टक इन करता है, सब सीखता है, आयरनिंग करता है.
So if somebody wants to join your team, the first qualification is
housekeeping. First housekeeping.
So okay, disclaimer guys, if you want to be a part of PHX India,
Learn
housekeeping. Yeah. Then apply there and then you'll get the job.
So there's another term, I don't know how relevant it is to, it's called OCDK. That man has to have OCD. He cannot be okay with the carpet 1 इंच इधर बाहर, 1 इंच इधर अंदर. नहीं बैठ सकता वो. नहीं बैठ सकता. मैं आया उससे पहले देखा, अच्छा कार्पेट ठीक, चेयर का एंगल इक्वल है. I mean it is subconsciously your. If I sit in a restaurant, सामने वो कैलेंडर उसका पड़ा है ना, वो कैलेंडर ऐसा थोड़ा सा हल्का सा टेढ़ा है, मैं उधर बैठ के खाना नहीं खा पाएगा.
पहले आप जाके कैलेंडर,
पहले जाके उसको बोलेगा वो कैलेंडर ठीक कर, नहीं तो कुछ जाके कैलेंडर ठीक करेगा, कुछ नहीं तो ऑपोजिट साइड बैठेगा. उसको बोलेगा तू इधर बैठ, मैं उधर बैठता हूँ. It bothers you. It bothers you, and that kind of botheration makes him an OCDK. And that character, OCDK वाला, वो अपने लाइफ में सब जगह वैसा काम करता है. मतलब वो अपने घर में भी हर चीज उसको डिसअरे में फटाफट दिखता है. एक चीज ऑफ है ना, उसको दिख जाता है. एक लाइन टेढ़ा है, उसको दिख जाता है.
So I think this is the first time that I'm hearing a good replication of OCD. Usually people say OCD is not a good idea.
If you have an OCD,
it's good to be in this team.
कभी आओ हवेली पे. It's like that. I have a straight offer. OCD है तो आजा बात करते हैं. कितना OCD है देखता हूँ. Because I have a place which is kind of a little eclectic. It's mixed. So बंदा आते आते वो ऐसा कैलेंडर टिक करता है, पेन स्ट्रेट रखता है. इसको शूट पे लेके जाओ. ये ऑफिस में कुछ नहीं करेगा, ये शूट पे अच्छा करेगा. एंड मालूम पड़ता है यार. यू लुक एट अ पिक्चर ना, यू आर स्टेयरिंग एट इट, यू पुट वन थिंग ऑफ इट, वन थिंग ऑफ, नजर उसी पे जाता है. ये पूरा दीवार पे मैं एक काला डॉट डालेगा ना, पूरा दुनिया वो काला डॉट डिस्कस करेगा. इतना अच्छा दीवार, बाकी भूल ही जाओ. सो वी कांट मेक दैट मिस्टेक. 3 cups are kept, 1 cup is off, नजर में आता है.
Okay, let's do this. That's better now.
Welcome. In fact, we'll keep it a little like this so that you can see the handles properly. There you go. Now it's better.
I like that. On the go we are.
But this is it. This is what it is all about.
True.
So when you walk in, you suddenly start sensing symmetry, flow, all the words that we learn in aesthetics. You start figuring it out on the job.
Amazing. I think this is this doesn't feel like a podcast anymore. It just
It's a
feels
session.
we are just sipping coffee together and talking about things.
But this is how it should be, I guess. You should come from the heart, and there's no script to this. And if you're asking me, what do you think? I should tell you what I think more honestly, than try to play a game of saying, I'm not here to do that. With you, not anything like that, love.
So Sebastian, you also you're a part of, you've been trying to get architect photographers, interior photographers together. So you've been really working closely and you're trying to build an association. So can you throw some light on it?
One of my most pet thing is get people together. I like that idea. I like the idea of what can happen when people get together. So when I was in the fashion industry, when I was doing the fashion magazine thing, immediately after I quit, I called all the designers in the country and we decided to form this federation of fashion designers. Only little did I know how deeply divided they were. Delhi would not want Bombay. Bombay does not give a damn about Bangalore. And I was trying to get everybody together.
So you always had this kidda of getting
And
people
I
together.
spent a decent amount of money at that time, lost every money because not a single person paid me for my efforts that time. आओ दिल्ली आओ कर देंगे हम लोग. दिल्ली गया 5 स्टार में ही खाना हम लोग मीटिंग करेंगे 5 स्टार में मीटिंग सब खा रहे पी रहे. बिल इज विद माय हैंड. सब उठ के चले गए. Gone. Bombay was only a little more decent. Bangalore was the best. But you see, the Bombay can't deal with Bangalore. Bangalore can't deal with Delhi. Delhi thinks they are gods. Bombay thinks they वो कौन है. Bangalore बोलते हमको ले लो साथ में. So इस rigmarole में I lost money and I said मेरे को इससे कोई लेना देना नहीं है. I'm out of it. COVID के time पे I realized that I was blessed. I was lucky. Because even though I did not have assignments, I had my hands full. I had to set up an organization, I was like rebuilding my organization उस time पे. मैंने बोला सब चीज़ पे क्वेश्चन करूँगा मैं. ये ऐसा क्यों कर रहे हैं हम? ऐसा क्यों कर रहे हैं? And I was busy. And then I used to get phone calls from young photographers. बोलता है सर क्या करें ऐसा? मेरा कैमरा बेचना है. वो बोला कैमरा क्यों बेचना है? बोलता है सर अभी 2 महीना हो गया कोई असाइनमेंट नहीं है. And I felt very bad यार. बोला मेरे को तो इसका 1 इंच का फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा. एक कोविड का आई एम एंजॉइंग द टाइम. कोई बेकिंग हो रहा है कभी ये हो रहा है. बट इन हियर देयर आर यंगस्टर्स हु आर डूइंग दैट. एंड आई स्टार्टेड टॉकिंग टू 3 or 4 of them like that. And then I realized that they have no source also to even discuss क्या होने वाला है. So they were biggest worry for them was ये कब खत्म होगा और उसके बाद क्या होगा. फोटोग्राफी चलेगा कि नहीं चलेगा. And there is nobody to talk to, nobody to give them hope. Their families or whatever is saying अरे तू तो घाटा में डाल दिया, पैसे से कैमरा खरीद लिया, अब वो पैसा कहाँ है, कैमरा बेचो कुछ पैसा आएगा. So I called up Kunal. Kunal was my intern at one point and one of the best interns आज तक. बंदे को बहुत जोर का OCD है, तो he's one of the very good photographers. So उनसे बात किया मैंने, बोला कि ऐसा ऐसा मेरा दिमाग में चल रहा है. वो बोला कि करना चाहिए. तो he had a Facebook page in which he used to answer youngsters का questions about. मैं बोला why don't we do this on a national level? And then we picked up the phone call and started. So it was such a revelation. Bharat Ramamurthy sir ji is I think 10 years ahead of me in photography. 10 साल मेरे से आगे, 10-12 साल. So there are enough times we have crossed paths, but एक बार भी हम लोगों ने रुक के हेलो हाई नहीं बोला है. क्यों? हम दूसरे को जानते ही नहीं थे. And for 20 years we did that. And the day we spoke to each other, it seemed like we are long lost brothers. There was joy in our voices when we were talking to each other. And it was like, Arey, I know this about you, I know that, I know you did that. I said, wow.
We both know each other's life so much.
We know everything about each other in terms
But
of
we don't
work
know
or
each
whatever, but we don't know each other personally. And then conversation mein, come to Goa, let's have beer together, this, that and the other. And the same conversation went on with 2-3 other people. And I said, yeah, we are stupid people. to not have spoken to each other, not have shaken hands with each other, not have built this relationship purely because we are competing with each other. So that was not worth it. And we started. And completely unknown. So me and Kunal thought there will be like 30-40 people together. क्या मतलब इतना मेहनत नहीं लगेगा. जब पहला लिस्ट बना तो 150. अभी तो पता नहीं 600-700 हो गया रहेगा. So we had no idea कि कितना है. बाद में देखा तो अरे ये भी फोटोग्राफी कर रहा है, अरे ये भी इंटीरियर शूट कर रहा है. And then it went on. And we picked up a bunch of people. And again, the first meeting I remember, the whole doubt was like, क्या करेगा? करना चाहिए, but क्या करेगा? So the whole thing slowly evolved into understanding that we have technical support from each other. We have a sense of belonging to each other. That WhatsApp group rings sometimes like mad because somebody has got a problem. मेरा equipment fail हो गया, मैं कहाँ से hire कर सकता हूँ? मेरे को एक ट्राइपॉड चाहिए यार अर्जेंटली, मैं इधर आ गया, मेरा एयरपोर्ट में रह गया, जो भी है बॉस, मेरा को ये इक्विपमेंट चाहिए, कौन मेरे को हेल्प करेगा? मेरा ड्रोन क्रैश हो गया, कौन मेरे को हेल्प करेगा? कौन सा ड्रोन यूज करना है? ये दर 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 चल रहा है.
So before let's understand, Sebastian, do you ever have a creative block?
Of course, yes.
How do you?
As I told you, the creative block is very simple. You enter the same thing, doing the same thing again and again and again, and you are not given extra time. So then you start repeating the same thing again and again. Today you blindfold me, I can try and find the center of a room. क्यों? एक सेंस आ गया है कि इतना इतना ही सेंटर इतना स्टेप्स में आ जाएगा. So you start doing that. Today if I place a camera, I'll pretty much place dead center of that room. I will find the center much faster than a youngster who goes like almost a feet here and there. तो कैसा आता है? Because of practice. But the moment you start figuring that out, खत्म ना. Now the youngster is struggling सेंटर लाने के लिए, बोलते हैं सर कितना स्मार्ट है, सर कितना अच्छा है, सेंटर ला रहा है. बट जिस दिन सेंटर आना मालूम हो गया, उसके बाद बचा क्या है? अभी कुछ और ढूंढो, कुछ और ढूंढो. But your subject doesn't offer you that much. So I have a solution for this. No photographer should continuously do the same thing every time. He or she should break out of what they do as a profession and do a completely random different stuff. अभी जिस दिन हम लोग एक महल का एक्सटीरियर शूट कर रहा है और नेक्स्ट डे में एक प्लेट में फूड शूट कर रहा है, पूरा माइंडसेट, पूरा सब कुछ चेंज हो गया. अब 1 स्क्वायर फीट में काम कर रहा हूं मैं, वहां पे मैं 500-600 स्क्वायर फीट में काम कर रहा था. समझ गया? तो ये पूरा दैट चेंज इज सो इम्पोर्टेंट दैट व्हेन यू गो बैक टू आर्किटेक्चर अगेन, नाउ यू आर ऑल्सो लुकिंग माइक्रो. यू आर ऑल्सो लुकिंग एट स्मॉलर थिंग्स इन द पिक्चर. अदरवाइज यू आर ओनली लुकिंग, इधर एक ईंट पड़ा है, फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, उधर एक विंडो बंद है, फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. बट जिस दिन फूड शूट करने लगते हो तो आपको एक दाना दाना दिखने लगता है. फिर बाद में आप ये फ्रेम करते हो तो इसमें भी दाना दाना ढूंढ रहा है. एंड इट्स सो गुड, इट इज सो गुड. एवरी फोटोग्राफर शुड डू स्ट्रीट फोटोग्राफी वंस इन अ व्हाइल. चलते चलते एक कैमरा लेके ही स्टार्ट नाउ आर्किटेक्चरल फोटोग्राफर विल गेट हिज स्ट्रीट फोटोग्राफी में लाइंस एकदम डेड स्ट्रेट, उसका हॉरिजॉन्टल, उसका वर्टिकल लाइंस एकदम डेड स्ट्रेट होगा. तो उसके लिए एक चैलेंज है टू ब्रेक दैट. हाँ, आप अभी सब्जेक्ट चेंज करो. आपका ये फुटपाथ का लाइन, बिल्डिंग का लिंटल लाइंस, डोर का लाइंस आर नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट. यू फोकस ऑन द गाय एंड नाउ सडनली इट्स अ टोटली डिफरेंट माइंड सेट फॉर हिम.
Yeah, I remember, I think the first time I shot a building, I shot a project, I think some 8 years back, I shot a building in Vashi. And I would always see women in different angles. The minute I started looking at a building, I realized I had to go onto a terrace, I had to go onto a bridge. But it was fascinating for me. I mean, who's always done fashion, just looking at a building from different angles.
Yeah, and you suddenly discover the building is not going to move an inch.
Exactly, you need to. I got a 30 feet, those things built so that I had to climb there and shoot from there.
That's one of the major challenges in architectural photography, that you do not get to shoot the building at your whim and fancy. You have to use vantage points, and that too all the disadvantages of the vantage points. बॉम्बे में क्या होता है, सडनली स्ट्रीट ये आता है, अपना स्ट्रीट लैंप्स आता है बीच में. एवरीथिंग इज परफेक्ट, एंगल मस्त है, बट वो एक स्ट्रीट लैंप है. अभी वो स्ट्रीट लैंप निकालेगा कैसा? हु इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू रिमूव द स्ट्रीट लैंप? नॉट पॉसिबल. सेकेंडली, ऑल बिल्डिंग्स आर सो क्लोज टू ईच अदर, यू नेवर गेट टू सी द सेकेंड साइड और द थर्ड साइड. So it is challenging left, right, and center. Now, still, despite all that, there are some photographers who come up with an amazing pictures. Then you wonder how he thinks. सोच कैसे सोचता है ये बंदा? And that's so nice. That's so nice to realize. And I think that is where the lesson for the next generation is. ये इसके काबिल बनो, फिर हम आगे बात करते हैं. बट बिल्डिंग के सामने जगह सामने कटरे के ऊपर देख लिया, अभी क्या करूं मैं, तो इतना ही है. You come back with one picture and you send a very seasoned professional and he goes like 5 buildings away, changes the lens and takes a straighter shot from 5 buildings away, gets a little narrow scope and he shoots that building. And he shoots the building at the right time. ये जैसा पहुंचा 12 बजे शूट कर लिया, स्काई पूरा ब्लोन आउट है, एडजस्ट शार्प नहीं है, और ये इधर बंदा शूट किया, उसमें तुम्हारा सन सेटिंग, सन रिफ्लेक्शन में है ग्लास का. You see, so many ways to do the same thing. It's only experience and understanding your subject कि क्या है और what possibilities exist. So you look up and down and left and right and you wonder कि sun किधर होने वाला है. What's going to happen next? What are the possibilities? So I remember a photographer waiting for hours trying to get an aircraft ka reflection in the thing. It was close to the airport. So he used to see flights taking off and at one point he saw कि अरे पूरा फ्लाइट कैसे टेक ऑफ के टाइम वो रिफ्लेक्शन में दिखता है. वो उधर खड़ा है अच्छा शॉट लेने के लिए, एक बार लिया तो बीच में बर्ड आ गया, मतलब ऐसा. एंड फ्लाइट टेक ऑफ इज वेरी फास्ट ना, ऐसा नहीं कि आया निकल गया, तो निकल गया. ही वेटेड एंड ही टुक दैट पिक्चर. बाद में हम लोग बोला फोटोशॉप क्यों नहीं किया यार. तो आई थिंक द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग टुडे टू रियलाइज व्हाट इज अ कॉम्पोजिट एंड व्हाट इज अ फोटोग्राफ.
Their eye for detailing to understand.
नहीं, what is genuinely true? What is a photograph? A photograph is something that has a negative. A composite has multiple negatives. Composite need not be true. So आज का चैलेंज ये है कि आप फोटोग्राफर है या फोटोशॉप आर्टिस्ट है, क्योंकि सब कुछ तो compositing में चल रहा है.
Like the latest Photoshop, you type anything and it's going to give it
So
to you.
where is the photographer? So I think the challenge or the requirement is for you to state that this is a pure photograph, which means you've taken the effort to get the picture right, which also means you have a raw file, which is the same as the final output. Not 3 raw files, 1 raw file, which is exactly the same as. Now that was the craft which used to happen before the digital age. The photographer had to take one bloody shot. An amazing work has happened that time, which means he has patiently waited for the right time. He has prepared himself for that moment and he has taken a picture. Today I can show you a tiger stalking a giraffe in Bombay. 6 pictures. I will prove कि वो इधर घूम रहा था जू में, tiger is stalking a giraffe. Compositing. It's no longer, you cannot call it a picture. You must stop calling it a picture. It's a composite. I think
So what do you think about AI today? With AI coming in, where is we spoke about the fact that you saw the world while the negative was there, the digital age. Now let's talk about the AI age.
you know, you need somebody with a better vocabulary who can do a good prompt. The camera is already smarter than the photographer. That's already achieved. Today, being a photographer, I think is a risky business. Why? Because the camera is doing the job. Everybody can now handle it. What is different between one photographer and the other is the compositional strength and the aesthetics. अगर वो बंदा एस्थेटिक्स में जीत गया तो ठीक है, बस कैमरा से कुछ नहीं होने वाला. वो 10 एक्सपोजर ले लेता है, उसमें से बाद में घर जाके सिलेक्ट करता है कौन सा अच्छा है. तो फोटोग्राफर बनने का वो जो स्किल था कि कौन सा एक्सपोजर लेना है, मेरे को एग्जैक्टली 2 शॉट लेना है, उसमें मेरे को फिट हो जाना चाहिए मेरा फ्रेम, वो सब जमाना खत्म. तो मेरा ड्राइवर कल अच्छा फोटोग्राफर बन सकता है, ये इसका मैं दावा लगा सकता हूँ. वो अच्छा फोटो ले लेगा, लेकिन वो कॉम्पोजिशन नहीं कर पाएगा, क्योंकि वो कॉम्पोजिशन करने के लिए उसको सब्जेक्ट समझना पड़ेगा. उसको सब्जेक्ट नहीं मालूम है. वो जो मैंने किया है वो रिपीट कर सकता है, बट वो नया कुछ नहीं सोच सकता. तो वो एक है. दूसरा, आपके पास एस्थेटिक वैल्यूज होनी चाहिए. अब वो आपका माहौल है एक तो, दूसरा आप कितना ध्यान दिया दुनिया में. व्हाट हैव यू स्टडीड, व्हाट हैव यू लर्नड, व्हाट हैव यू सीन, व्हाट हैव यू ऑब्जर्व्ड. So anybody can pick up those understanding of aesthetics and implement it. How many of them have paid attention while those things are obvious to you? So these 2 things के अलावा AI is the answer. But what is AI doing today? It is still doing a lot of plagiarism. It is picking up somebody else's work and putting it out for you. It is mixing and matching things. So it is either Vincent Van Gogh style, is it this one style, or it is this one का ये picture, this one का वो picture. Originality नहीं है. And you can be very clear about two things, that AI will take you to this point. Beyond that, it's the human ingenuity which will take it further. जिस दिन computer आया वही हुआ. We took it to another level. Today we use computers for everything. Same thing, AI is another tool. But it's dangerous. Point ये है कि ये बहुत dangerous है.
But you need to know how to use it. I mean, I think it's
Prompt.
It's very important again what to use out of it also.
Yeah.
How much to use.
वरना खतरा तो बहुत निकलते रहेगा. पर आज बोलते हैं ना आर्टिस्ट बन गया हूँ मैं, AI में काम करता हूँ. I mean, कैसा आर्टिस्ट बन गया वो? मेरा सवाल इधर है ना कि how does one become a photographer if he is using compositing? It is somebody else's work there. The Photoshop artist's work that is making you a better photographer. So two people have joined together. It's a collaborative effort. Photographer is a person who takes a picture on his own. So the same way, an artist is the one who paints a picture. He is picked up from everywhere and put it together. And बोलता है मैं artist बन गया. ठीक है, enjoy yourself. But I have no respect for that.
So Sebastian, for a new kid today who's at 17 wanting to pick up a camera, what are your tips for somebody starting off and somebody who's aspiring to get into this space of architecture and interior photography? What are the 5 things that he needs to keep in mind while starting in early days today?
So interior architecture is a learned thing. It's not like something that you just take the camera and you figure it out. No, you have to learn something out of it. So I would say watch and learn for the first part of your life. Second is practice. Start trying to align lines and all that in every picture you take. Whether you take nature, whether you take automobiles, or even when you take people, you look at the lines in the picture and see if you can get them dead straight, or if that really interests you. If it does, then you have an architectural photography ka hint coming through. The next is you have to learn about the subject. Photography clarifies the subject. That is photography. The definition I have understood is it clarifies the subject. If you show a picture to somebody and they do not know what the subject is, a photograph देखा आपने और उसको पता नहीं किसका photograph है, ये क्या चीज़ का photograph है, आपका photography waste था. So photography clarifies the subject. So the subject first you need to understand. If you're shooting a wedding, you know every moment in the wedding. You should know that. How will you position yourself nicely if you do not know how a wedding goes? So all these are very important things. So similarly in architecture, you should know where the sun is. In interior, you should know how the objects are placed. What creates a sense of aesthetics in an object. Proportion है, color है, flow है, leading lines है, क्या है? तो ये सब सीखना पड़ता है. काबिल बनो. आओ हवेली पे. So I think this is the first steps. At 17, I would not even bet on the kid, because till 21, architecture is not a kid's game. There is a lot to learn and read. So you start assimilating the ideas of architecture only much later.
But is it important, like we said, we know a lot of architects have turned into architect photographers.
Because you studied 5 years.
Correct. But is it important to study architecture to be architect photographer?
No, not at all. Being a photographer is like I have borrowed certain concepts from them. I do not know how this beam is made. I do not know how much concrete to put in, how much steel to put in. But I know that this beam looks nice because of the proportions. It is equal each on both sides. It's nice. It's got this. So I am not looking at the building of a structure. So I don't have to be an architect. But me knowing what made the structure stand and how important this is can help me focus on it better. एक आर्किटेक्ट रहेगा तो बोले तो इसको इंक्लूड करना फ्रेम में, इसको एक्सक्लूड मत करना, ये इंपॉर्टेंट स्ट्रक्चरल एलिमेंट है. बट नॉर्मल आदमी देखिएगा बोला इसमें क्या है, तो खंबा है जैसा है, क्या करना है, तो उसका वो फर्क हो सकता है. तो आपको क्राइम शूट करना है तो आपको क्रिमिनल बनना जरूरी है? नहीं ना. You can shoot crime because you are a good photographer who can react at the moment, compose fast and take a picture before anybody
I like
catches
this
you.
example for sure.
तो सब लोग मुझे, that was the first thing, you are not an architect, then how do you shoot architectural photography? ऐसा क्या दिमाग खराब कर रहे हो भाई साहब?
मतलब क्रिमिनल
तो फूड फोटोग्राफी करने के लिए मुझे शेफ बनना पड़ेगा. तो कल मैं डिसाइड कर रहा हूँ मुझे
फाउंड ऑफ फूड ना, फूड फोटोग्राफर बनने के लिए शुड बी फाउंड ऑफ फूड.
Fond of food
आफ्टर द
का-
शॉट हैपेंस यू वांट टू ईट द फूड.
फूड फोटोग्राफी का एक फंडामेंटल बेसिक मालूम है, आप अनियन को ऐसे रखोगे तो वो विल्ट हो जाएगा. कोतमीर ऐसे छोड़ नहीं सकते, उसको रखने का एक तरीका होता है, आइस पानी में रखो, इसमें रखो, ये सब चीज़ मिलके फूड फोटोग्राफी होता है. इट्स नॉट जस्ट लाइक स्टैंडिंग देयर विद योर कैमरा एंड लाइट्स ग्लेयरिंग, सब सड़ जाएगा, मतलब इट विल बी लाइक बैड. सो यू हैव टू लर्न एवरीथिंग. हाउ डज राइस लुक गुड इन अ पिक्चर? What kind of, how much cooking has to be done for a fish to stand out? ये नहीं मालूम है तो आप मतलब then you are a photographer for sure. Everybody with a camera, mobile phone is a photographer.
But how important is it to choose a genre? Like we're talking of food, architecture, fashion. There are lots of photographers who do multiple genres. What's your take on that?
I'm an architectural photographer. I'm an interior photographer. So I go to shoot a wedding. And I set my camera. Now I'm used to setting up everything. I'm used to controlling everything in the scene. Sab kuch. The pink sari wali auntie is not looking good in this. She is not color coordinated.
Auntie
आंटी को बाहर करो. दूसरा, आप टेढ़ा खड़ा है, ये सीधा खड़ा है, आप भी ऐसा टेढ़ा खड़ा हो. मैं ये करते करते ना शादी खत्म हो जाएगा. मैं फोटो नहीं ले पाएगा. वेडिंग फोटोग्राफर, जब मैं ये कर रहा हूँ ना, तो ये मेरे साथ हुआ है. जावेद भाई आया बीच में से, मैं देखा तो पूरा काला दिख रहा है स्क्रीन में, क्या हो गया? देखा तो जावेद भाई का सर सामने, जावेद भाई फोटो लिया, चला गया. और मैं अभी भी बोल रहा है, भाई साहब आप थोड़ा नीचे हो जाओ, भाई साहब थोड़ा इधर हो जाओ, चेयर ठीक नहीं यार, चेयर ठीक कर, टेबल टेढ़ा है. मैं वो सब चीज में उलझा है. जावेद भाई 2 बार आके फोटो लेके चला गया. जावेद भाई को ये चीज मालूम था कि मेरा कॉम्पोजिशन अच्छा है, मैं जो एंगल पकड़ा वो अच्छा है. तो जावेद भाई वेट करता था, मेरा सब सेट हो गया. जब मैं डायरेक्शन देने लगता, जावेद भाई आएगा, चला गया. मैं बोला भाई नेक्स्ट टाइम से जावेद भाई को बोला, बिकॉज जावेद भाई ने 100 फोटो दिए आपको, मेरा 10 है. सो आई रियलाइज ये इवेंट मेरा काम नहीं है, आई कैनॉट डू इट. सो द सेम विथ प्रोडक्ट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, उधर एक पीछे शैडो हल्का सा, एक थोड़ा 2, उस टाइम में हम लोग पूरा रूम का शूट खत्म कर देता है. ये बंदा एक प्रोडक्ट का फोटो नहीं ले पाया. सो यू सी, टेम्परामेंट, attitude, understanding, liking of what you choose to do, everything matters. So a person who likes the moment, who's able to capture the moment quickly, वो उस genre में घुसना चाहिए, ना कि इधर ट्राइपॉड लगा के सनसेट के लिए वेट कर रहा है. He will be impatient. बहुत impatient हो जाएगा वो. He will never be happy doing what he's doing.
So what next are you doing, and what are the kind of projects we're going to be seeing you do?
About a couple of months back, the entire team got engaged in one assignment, which was the Colosseum, a 2 lakh square feet showroom in Hyderabad. So 4 photographers, 2 stylists, 2 videographers, all got assigned on one project. And we were all there. And this was the first time that even more than 2 people have got engaged into one project. So that also taught us the advantage of having a team. Most probably they are also looking at how can a team deliver, because if one person is trying to shoot 2 lakh square feet na, uska 15-20 दिन चला गया. Here we delivered the whole thing in 6 days, while the setup is going on in the back end is only and only because 3 photographers shooting at the same time. So जो ready हो गया, बंदा जाके shoot कर लिया, video कर लिया, ये कर लिया, वो कर लिया. So that kind of gave me an idea that I need to look at projects like this. So what next is we are really looking at the large scale format of doing interior architecture work. Wow. So be it hotels, be it real estate, the expertise is there. Now we need to take the whole project together, because now the correlation, the understanding between the teams is very important. If I am a photographer and your team is the videographer, once I finish my work, I walk away. So things are lying helter-skelter. You will have to get your stylist to style it up. Here, my stylist has styled it for the photographer. We have moved things around to take our pictures, but then they put it back again for the video team to come in. So they are getting the same amount of effort and attention to create better visuals. It's much more organized.
And time saving.
I am not yelling and screaming at my videographer कि तू अरे कितना time ले रहा है, बीच में क्या कर रहा है. नहीं, I'm patiently waiting because I want him also to excel. He's my team member. In fact, I'm helping him. I'm saying ठीक है, मैं second angle shoot करूँ क्या तेरे लिए, so that you will have double the footage you can make. That will not happen if it's your team versus my team. I will be saying अरे बंद करो ना यार, कितना चल रहा है. And it happens because if you have another guy in the team, he is locking the door. I said, boss, मेरा light जा रहा है, जल्दी करो. Then झगड़ा, चिल्लम चिल्ली, तेरा सामान नहीं था, मेरा सामान हटा. And today, when you need video, you need photography, you need styling, you're looking at a person who or a team that's a one-stop shop solution. And we are now focusing more on trying to get that going.
Amazing. I think that sounds brilliant with 2 lakh square feet that you finished up in 6 days.
6 days. And that too, now the pictures are coming out. Ab jab 50 photographers from the interior architecture business, the top ones, complain to Instagram कि ये बंदा गलत कर रहा है, ये क्रेडिट्स नहीं दे रहा है, ये कॉपीराइट वायलेशन है, खत्म. So
The power of collaboration.
and also I did not notice somebody had used my pictures without informing me, but 50 eyes में से किसी ने एक ने देखा, उसने स्क्रीनशॉट भेजा, बोला देख चल रहा है इधर तेरा नाम पे चलो फोन करो उसको. It is the most beautiful thing now, but we still have to go a long way because I think that little insecurity मैं कितना खोलूं, how much do I open my doors, how much do I share, that is still there. And none of the youngsters knew about copyright laws, which is I think a very important subject for me today because it is something that helps a photographer have a longer life. After you're dead, the only thing that you can kind of hold on to is your copyrights. And we made a decent amount of money selling copyrights to old pictures. Why? Because we held it. So publication wants to see pictures from the early 2000, some projects, some design, and we have some pictures. We are able to copyright it. And it is mostly international publications and you get in dollars. You get paid in dollars or euros.
Lovely.
And that is only and only possible because we held on to copyrights. And most people copyright क्या होता है? Some senior photographers said ये सब करके क्या होगा? I said, wow, इतना lack of knowledge. And you ask any international photographer, the first thing he wants is a license statement that you have to sign, contract. और हमारे यहाँ पे उसके बारे में डिस्कशन ही नहीं हो रहा है.
पेपर का नामो निशान ही नहीं है हमारे यहाँ पे.
तो मैंने लॉयर से बात किया, मैंने थोड़ा स्टडी किया, then I discovered that these are possibilities. So today we operate under very strict thing. Copyright licensing is the only business of the game we play. Unless and until you're a very, very big corporate and who have, privacy issues, then you have to buy the pictures, you pay the price for it. Otherwise, copyrights are mine. But we don't misuse it. We have ethical practice. We do not.
So, but if a client, let's probably understand this a little bit, even for other genres. So, what you're trying to say, today if a client is hiring you for a shoot, he's telling you, an architect is saying, come and shoot that project. So, what is the standard copyright you're giving him to use the picture?
Because a license to use the picture for a specific purpose and for a period of time. So, you can.
So, what's your standard?
Standard is like you have 3 licenses. Okay, copyright is your thing, but you're licensing your copyright. The first one is called copyright free, which means I am not holding any copyright except the moral right of being the creator of the image. Now that is like a different ball game where I'm giving him the rights. So he pays me 100 rupees, full price. I think that's my value. He pays me full price. He pays me 20 rupees less if I give him a commercial license, which means he can use the picture. He need not mention my credits or whatever, but all the extra pictures or whatever is there is mine. He has no say over it. And he can use the pictures, he cannot sell the pictures. यानी आज उसने मैं इसको बेच दिया उसको बेच दिया नहीं कर सकता, वो बेचने का काम मेरा है, उसने बेच सकता.
But the project was of the client. He made the
project client का है, फोटो मेरा है. मेरा कॉपीराइट डिजाइन पे नहीं है, मेरा कॉपीराइट तुम्हारे ऑफिस पे नहीं है. सो स्टॉक फोटोग्राफी क्या है?
Right.
So when you take portraiture also, it is your picture, but I've taken the picture. The copyright is on the picture. I'm not selling you. I'm selling the picture. So let's be clear.
You have your own copyright, but the pictures.
You can have your own. So that's why we have model release forms, right? You have to get a model release form. The model is not going to interfere in the business of your copyrights. Otherwise, model बोलेगा नहीं मेरा मन नहीं कर रहा आज फोटो मत यूज करो. Advertising business बंद हो जाएगा भाई साहब. So in your genre, for example, you have the right to use the picture where you want to use the picture. So if it is somebody's wedding and tomorrow morning a very big international wedding forum is happening and they want to use a couple of pictures of yours as their main picture and they're willing to pay you a bomb for it, how will you do it? Unless and until you hold the copyrights for the picture. अभी किसका भी शादी हो सकता है. It could be Raj's wedding. Picture is up there. But the picture is up there, not Raj.
So how now today we're talking of this wedding example only. How does a photographer get this right that the copyright is this? So does he make a client sign a copyright letter?
So by law, you need to inform the client about how you operate, right? So your first estimate should mention these terms very clearly. That I am offering you this picture on a license. The copyrights are mine. So to be very fair to the client, you can mention that I will not misuse the pictures in a bad way. It will not upload in the wrong place. It will only upload wherever you are promoted or wherever you are getting some, publicity or gain, because as a body of your work.
Since I'm capturing it, the copyright remains with me because...
You are the photographer. You captured the pictures, the copyrights are yours. Law is protecting it. Any creator has the first right of this thing. But the moment you have a consideration, that is the money, then you're either licensing or you're selling the copyrights. So if you haven't made clear that the money is transacted for a license, then the copyright is theirs.
But they feel they paid you the money.
They paid you the money. But if they're paying me the money, but it is clearly mentioned that they're paying me license fees, copyright is yours.
So you're saying day one when you do a contract, so you should do a contract before you do the job with a client.
Every communication should mention license fees.
We've been telling every wedding photographer that do a contract. We are saying, do a 5-page or 7-pager. Get every term and condition clear. So you're saying, mention over there that the
license.
Copyright remains mine and I'm giving you the license.
You have perpetual license to use the picture. You have the perpetual license to use your wedding pictures. You use it wherever you want. We don't ask you. Okay. Now the client tells me मेरे को discount चाहिए. मैं सोचता हूँ 2 बार. Discount चाहिए, ठीक है, done. जहाँ भी पिक्चर यूज करोगे मेरा नाम लिखोगे. अब is that working for you? Yes. क्यों? Publicity हो रहा है कि हर एक पिक्चर पे नीचे your name is mentioned and it is going wherever it goes. So you're only giving the pictures with your watermark on it. He says मेरे को तुम्हारा watermark नहीं चाहिए. Then he has to pay more. So you think about how this helps you both ways, no? From your publicity perspective, also from a business perspective. एक बार उसको पिक्चर दे दिया, आप नहीं यूज कर सकते, तो you just got your assignment fees. That's it. So your money is उधर खत्म. But if you keep the copyrights, tomorrow morning somebody wants to do a book on Indian weddings in the 1900s, for example. You have a hell lot of pictures lying. You can bindas use it, get paid for it also. Only and only if you hold the copyrights.
Now, in your team, let's have one more clarification on copyright. Today, you have other photographers shooting and your team. So, is the copyright the photographers or the...
So, when it comes to the firm holds the copyrights. But every copyright is a joint thing. So and so for this. We are taking care of his interest as well. But this particular thing in a firm, if you're working for a company and whatever work you do for the company is the company's. So the company holds the copyright because company is the one who's fighting the case for the copyrights as well. So in our case, we are the copyright owners, but we co-own it with the guy who is our photographer. And that is only and only if he is of that level. Like for example, an intern comes and works with you. 100 में से एक पिक्चर उसने लिया, उसको नहीं, उसमें दो डिस्कशन तो जॉब कर रहा है. It's a very clear thing. So you have to mandate. Now when Aditya Kulkarni goes and shoots on his own, he is creating his own body of work. You cannot take away that उसने फोटो लिया है, तो क्रेडिट्स तो उसको देना ही देना है. But he belongs to the firm. He is working on behalf of the firm. So he has to give the credits to the firm as well. So if you mention his credit line, it will be PHX India / Aditya Kulkarni.
Amazing. So, as a company and as a photographer, you've been making money through licensing.
Licensing.
Even after the picture was probably a 5-year-old picture.
Yeah. So last, I think it was a very interesting thing. One picture got us $10,000. And if I remember clearly, we did an assignment for $20,000. But it is only possible when we are being very fair and ethical about it. It's in a good book, point number one. Secondly, it's a project that requires that picture. And last but not the least, we are mentioning the name of the client also there. Okay, this picture was taken for this client. So उसका publicity हम लोग काट नहीं रहा. ऐसा नहीं कि ये मेरा फोटो है. तो बोला तू कौन है बे, is the first question to answer. वो आंसर कर लिया तो मालूम पड़ा कि हमने इनका काम दिखा रहे हैं. हम इनका काम दिखा रहे हैं. फोटोग्राफ मेरा है,
Correct.
बेचने का हक मेरा है, बिकॉज द लॉ प्रोवाइड्स मी दैट.
Amazing. I think this is something that you've been, as of now, focusing only for your architect photographers. But I'm sure this is going to, if collaboratively, every other photographer in every genre, it's going to help and support.
You are going to be surprised that no international photographer is ever going to come and discuss with you unless and until they discuss the copyrights part. Their whole billing is based on that. We are the only people who are not doing that. Because हमको एक बार पैसा हाथ में आ गया तो भाड़ में गया. But you don't realize that same picture, if you have shot a picture for a certain client 25 years ago, today those pictures are even more valuable. They are priceless today, 25 years later. And if you do not have the rights to use them, or you do not have any kind of rights which you have claimed or taken, that pricelessness is nothing, no? Imagine somebody had shot some old actor or actress ka wedding and they had the copyrights. Imagine.
So ideally, even if fashion photographers today shooting a celebrity, he should be getting a basic document signed.
Model release. Ideally, he should get the model release. See, when a photographer is shooting for an actor or somebody, and he is shooting those pictures free, or he is shooting it for publicity's sake, or the actor is not paying for it, he can get the thing signed that you are releasing the rights for us to use the pictures. That's all that he has to get. Otherwise, why should I shoot for him free? मेरे को कुछ तो return में दो. So if a fashion designer is doing a gown for an actress for the red carpet, it's only done for the fact that वो photograph आएगा तो उसका नाम छपेगा. वरना क्यों actress को free में कपड़ा देगा वो? तो there is a give and take in this entire relationship. It's symbiotic. So I'm willing to take a picture, but then, as I told you, 100 से मैं 80 किया, 80 से मैंने 60 किया, because I am going to ask for more from the picture every time I reduce my price. ऐसा नहीं 40 में दे दिया और आप लेके भाग गए.
60 में दिया तो I'm giving it to you for 2 years.
मेरा नाम आएगा हर एक जगह पे, जहाँ आप छापोगे ना, जहाँ पे भी छापोगे मेरा नाम चाहिए. इंस्टाग्राम में सबसे ज़्यादा हंगामा इंटीरियर आर्किटेक्चर फोटोग्राफर्स का इसी का है कि मैंने फोटो एडिटोरियली आपको दिया है, जहाँ पे भी छपेगा ना भाई साहब मेरा नाम दिखना चाहिए.
And now when people are not following that, what do you do now? Okay,
you can see, at least, because if you have the paperwork, you can fight that. Legally you can fight that. Morally you can fight that. आपका कोई paperwork नहीं है, आप क्या लड़ोगे? बताओ. So the first thing is to correct your system. That is, you have. So we can get on in Instagram and give it to them on Instagram itself. They can't say anything back in return, because that is the terms under which we operated. You can call them whatever you want to call them. They cannot say a word to you because you are not morally wrong. You have agreed to certain terms and now you have to fulfill those terms. नहीं तो simple है boss, पैसा दे. Next license का पैसा दे. रख फोटो जो करना है कर ले. So you have to draw the line between the two. ना ऐसा नहीं है कि ये भी चलता है वो भी चलता है, अरे मेरी मनमर्जी नहीं होता है यार.
I think that's amazing that you've been working on the copyright bit, and I think
you have to protect it. It's your business to protect your copyrights.
True, and I think as a country in India, nobody is talking about it today.
Hey, today when you try to play music on a public domain, you cannot play the music because you have no copyrights to play the music. The guy will come and charge you $50,000 as penalty. Take money and go. Why? Because they are organized as an industry. They have somebody who watches this, a watchdog. They come, they charge you $50,000 for playing a song without license. Right? Liquor, you can't supply liquor in public unless you buy a license. So license is a word that you're allowed to use. I've shot a picture for you. Under what license? You paid me less money. Copyrights are mine. Every time you use it, you have to honor the license. नहीं, आपको जो मन मर्जी आप करो, जो करना है करो. So a restaurant owner takes a license for a longer period of time. He can do whatever he दारू पिलाओ नहीं पिलाओ उसका पर है. But you try offering liquor here in a public as a party, कल सुबह आ जाएगा बंदा कोई.
True, every other industry's had that thing, so why not our industry?
Why? No, our industry has it. The best part is photographers around the world already operate under this. Indian photographers are the only people who don't seem to know because they are afraid to lose clients if they start insisting on this. And if the collective doesn't ask for it, one person starts, उसको पत्थर मारेगा. But if everybody is mentioning the same terms, mentioning the same thing, the client wants to work in the industry.
There's a city, I remember I had this conversation with Matt Lewis from Canada. And this is, I think, last year on one of our online events. And he said that today the pricing was not really right. What I was charging versus the other photographer was charging way lesser. He said, I went and met the next second and third person. I taught them so much and I got their price higher. The minute if we are all together, it is better. He'll make more money.
And it's also based on quality then, right? So now, who will join that race? Only people in the same quality. मेरा क्वालिटी गंदा है, मेरे को कम पैसे ही चार्ज करना है, तो फिर गेम अलग है. तो आपके पास अगर 100 फोटोग्राफर्स है, उसमें से अगर 80 क्वालिटी कॉन्शियस नहीं है, 20 है, तो आप लड़ाई नहीं लड़ सकते. अगर वो रिवर्स है, तो 20 will have to follow what the 80 does. So the game here is that we need to get everybody at the same level. To some extent, Jaydeep is also doing the same conversation. I am having the same conversation. Kunal is having the same conversation. So now the whole voice is kind of gone because somebody has lost their rights. That's when they want to fight. तब तक तो बंदा उठा ही नहीं था. हम लोग बोलते हैं before that happens to you, by sub start making a document. Start mentioning the right terms. When you say assignment, according to Indian code, assignment means पैसा दिया है, assignment कर रहा है तू. मैं बोल रहा हूँ मैं assignment नहीं कर रहा हूँ, मैं license fees charge कर रहा हूँ. Suddenly पूरा conversation मेरा billing में mentioned है editorial license fees, commercial license fees. Now there are clients who are asking us, boss मुझे ये pictures किसी को दिखाना नहीं है, I want all the rights. It is fairer than you selling at a lower price and then you doing the same thing, right? So today he knows that he has to buy that license from me or the copyrights from me. If he has to buy the copyrights, he has to pay more. And I'm okay with it. I can't use the picture on my Instagram to showcase that I did that work. I'm okay with that.
It's having a clarity today. Day one, you have a clarity before the job.
At least I got the money, yaar. है ना? कुत्ते के लिए बिस्किट्स लेके जाऊंगा.
Amazing. Thank you for touching this copyright topic. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are
I think we should all the genres. It doesn't matter who you are. If you are in the photography business or the videography business, you must learn this, understand this, and start implementing it in small ways. That's the only way to protect yourself. It's like a tough thing to do, but if you don't start today, the next generation will suffer like you.
Perfect. So, we've been at capturing or distributing like a contract copy for the last 2 years. Today in weddings, I can very proudly say 70%, 80% of wedding photographers today work with contracts, and we've seen this transformation in the last 3 years.
Brilliant.
So I think next is now you've given me an agenda to talk about copyright.
Introduce licensing.
Perfect, exactly. So I think let's create a sample document which we can probably give it out to every photographer because not everybody can go and hire even a lawyer and consult a lawyer. So if we can create a basic standard document and give a very basic, simple to understand
Also, I believe that young photographers particularly need to go to one resource, one place from where they can understand that they are here to build a life by earning money, not by losing money. So what are the areas that they should charge for because it is legitimate charges? Okay, so नहीं मैं processing में मैं खुद कर लेता हूँ, मैं client को नहीं charge करता हूँ. You can only do it for a certain point in time because if you have 2 assignments, your processing time is not earning you the money that your shooting time is. So you better focus on your shooting. And somebody who is processing for 10 people is definitely earning money, but if he was only processing for himself, he would never do that. So to understand where do you stand and how do you support the rest of the industry is a very, very critical discussion and a conversation to have. Because the youngsters are the ones who do not know. They are not doing it because they want to disrupt the flow. They are doing it only because they want to survive. But while they are doing it, they are shooting in their own feet. Now you can only watch. So if somebody tells me ये मेरे सस्ता करते हैं, मैं बोलता हूँ उससे भी सस्ता वाला का नंबर देता हूँ. You do it, he's cheaper than that. It's only when the client spends his money with 2 people and then come back to me. Then I say, listen, my price have gone up. If you are using me as a backup, then backup costs are higher. So now I can do that because I have another assignment waiting for me next month. The youngster doesn't have the thing. But he's losing an opportunity to set the standard. We have already set certain standards. If the youngsters also follow the same thing, charge different, whatever you want, But ensure
Best
that
practices, probably we are calling it
but
the best
have
practices.
those heads in. Do not let your processing time not be paid for. It's a key thing to understand that if you're earning 1,000 rupees, you're going to pay for your Netflix, boss. So pay for your Netflix. Why is it being given to anybody free? I know a lot of clients will hate me for this, but
Yeah, I think advertising always had this digital processing. Advertising has always had digital
they
processing.
had
as a
coordination
fee.
fees, yeah. They had coordination fees. They would not let one of their person go to anything without getting paid. Why is 3 people in my team standing there not getting paid? And are they doing something? Yes, they're doing something. Then they better get paid. Be it a stylist, be it even an assistant. वो सोफा हिलाने को एक आदमी से नहीं होता ना. तो मेरा असिस्टेंट तुमको सोफा हिलाने के लिए चाहिए. तुम 200-300 रुपए देके बाहर से बंदा नहीं मंगा सकते? या अपने स्टाफ को क्यों नहीं यूज कर रहा? Then the answer is, अरे बहुत काम है ऑफिस में. Yes, he is working on something which is earning him the money and earning you the money. My guy should work for you for free. I can have that conversation. The youngster can't. And this is exactly where we need to now reverse this. Teach the youngster, listen, don't. You are doing this because you want to earn a livelihood, not because मजा आ रहा है. मजा आ रहा है तो then don't ask for money from anybody. मेरे से पैसा लेगा लेकिन दूसरे से मांग नहीं सकता. तो क्लाइंट से मांगो. तो ये एक instill one resource. How does a photographer operate? What is the Indian dynamics? Where is the Indian clientele not willing to adjust? And where is it that they lack the information or the knowledge? Copyright infringement, उनको पता ही नहीं है क्या होता है. म्यूजिक लेना है, जो मनता उठा ले यूट्यूब से. You put any random music and try playing it on YouTube. It will not work on YouTube. YouTube will block it. क्यों? The music industry has shown us the way. I think it's time for us to at least follow it and create our own set of rules. ऐसा नहीं बोल रहा कि सब कुछ तुम एकदम टाइट करो. But let the next generation inherit something which is already preset by our generation. It's you and I who have to not talk.
Absolutely. I think you're giving me, you're adding up some to-do lists for me at Capturing Wow. So probably this conversation leaves me tonight probably not to sleep and...
नहीं सो जाओ यार. But keep it in the under your pillow.
Absolutely. Looking forward to building it together. I think that's where we all need to come together, and that's the little small effort we do at Capturing Wow. So I'm so happy to have you to at least ring that bell. Let's accumulate everyone else so that it's not 2 of us who can do it. I think the minute it's collective.
The interior architecture industry is concerned, we have already started this, and people have suffered there. Now they are willing to So I send out, like you said, I send out my rate sheet, I send out my contract to them. I create a dummy contract format and I give it out to people. It's not going to kill me. It's only going to make the industry better. And it's going to protect the rights of some youngster who is now blindly getting into this. He doesn't even understand that. And he doesn't know the value of some of the pictures that he has taken over a period of time.
Yeah, he doesn't know that far-sightedness, what's going to happen.
Today he's doing an ascent for 10,000 bucks. His one picture can be worth 10,000 10 years from now. That's an investment for him. If he is holding on to it, if he has the rights for it, if he has already done the contract right. Varna, he gets nothing out of it. So sharing this knowledge, I think, is a good thing. And you should use this platform to do that.
So amazing, Sebastian. This was lovely talking to you and getting to know so much insight.
Always pleasure.
So after the insightful session that we had today, what's next in store for you guys? Yes, I've already received a lot of great questions and I'm all set for the next episode. उसके बाद गेस्ट कौन आने वाला है ये आप सोच रहे होगे, right? The guest coming in is not only a director but a DOP and a phenomenal human being and also a dear friend of mine. I've had the privilege of working with him on multiple projects. Yes, while I was shooting the Color Essence TVC, he was there with me as my DOP. While I shot my music video with Imesh Reshamia, he was there as my DOP. He's always a phone call away. So yes, I'm not going to take his name. I'm looking forward to meeting you guys on the next episode where you meet this young man who's a powerhouse. What makes you wake up every day morning and get into action?
Client calls. I get panicked very easily, but I wouldn't show it. I'm just good at not showing it. But I do get panic, I do get anxiety here. Okay, abhi kya hoga? When you're doing ads and even when you're doing films, it's all about massaging the ego the right way. Then comes your creative process.
How do you manage time?
Good question.
which movies inspire you?
One movie that really changed my perspective to cinema was Mera Naam Joker.
So guys, stay tuned for your weekly dose of learning with Level Up with Love. I'll see you next week.